What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your daily creative reading for September 16th. We are going to hop right on in. So, happy Friday. It is actually, for many places, it's kind of a long weekend. I know many places are closed on Monday to specifically, like in Canada, it's a federal holiday on Monday to recognize the passing of Queen Elizabeth. But for some folks, it is a long weekend. But nonetheless, let's dive in and see where this day takes us. This Friday. Okay, live your dreams. That's on this side here. Live your dreams. And then you are love. Okay. Dear wonderful you, intimacy is scary sometimes. It means you have to let someone else get to know the real you, not the perfect, flawless mask you wear for others. No, it's time to reveal the cool one, the passionate one, the imperfect one that is totally you without artifice or walls. Yes, you will be exposed and vulnerable for a time, but it will be so worth it. This is the only way you will know true closeness with others, and you will also be close to spirit and to us. There is amazing freedom that comes when you let go and just be yourself with another or a group. Release from the invisible bindings that keep you from intimacy. Release for, oh, I get it. Oh my gosh. Release from the invisible bindings that keep you from intimacy is truly empowering. So may we support you wholeheartedly in this choice. You will know yourself better, and we hope learn to love yourself as much as we do. Yeah. Life is about who we are with others, so share it. You will be so glad you did. Loving you so, so much. So, let's see where today takes us, shall we? This hero's journey for Friday, September 16th. Friday, September 16th. The moon. Yeah. The moon is part of the call. Three of Pentacles. What else do you have for me, Spirit? Okay, all the cards. That is a lot. Let me just get an overview of the energies here. For those who are very interested, we have the Two of Swords, Nine of Wands, Page of Wands, the Sun, Hierophant, Nine of Swords, King of Swords, Four of Swords. I almost feel like there was like uncertainty, hesitation, moving towards happiness just a tiny bit, wanting something that's more committed and long-term, worries getting in the way, kind of talking yourself out of things. I almost see this as like a weird hermit where they kind of had to go up the mountain to get the clarity, and now there's healing. But there's a Three of Pentacles here as part of the refusal. So let's see what else, Spirit. Can you clarify this further for me, please? That was a lot. That was a lot of cards. That was a lot of cards. Ten of Swords, yeah. The way that this is coming through is a little bit about asking for help, but I think the asking for help is just the Three of Pentacles energy here in the context of this. The train is coming through town. It is that time of day. It's really, so I'm going to read this part to you. It's about intimacy, right? And I know the Three of Pentacles isn't particularly sexy intimacy, but it is, I feel like it's an energy of laying roots for something. And I believe there is a release here. The refusal might be part of that, where it's like the refusal to take the journey is the fear of, I see this as like surrender, but I also see this as like, letting go, release, that kind of energy. There's something that's being let go of. And I feel like part of the call is to really take something out from underneath the moon energy, where it's either hidden or I don't know. It's almost like it's not particularly dreamy, or there's no illusion. The 3 of Pentacles doesn't really strike me as illusion energy. That's quite grounded. Um, what I get with this is just that there's a release that's taking place, and I think it's just surrendering to it. Surrendering to it. And I think the refusal is that you can get caught up in what happens next in terms of the ways that you define it. But let me read this part to you about intimacy, because I feel like this is really, it's either like letting go of an old way of thinking about things, doing things, what have you. There's something that's being released. So intimacy is scary sometimes. It means you have to let, this is so, it's almost like this first paragraph is like these 3 cards. Okay. Intimacy is scary sometimes. It means you have to let someone else get to know the real you, not the perfect, flawless mask you wear for others. No, it's not. It's time to reveal the cool one, the passionate one, the imperfect one that is totally you, without artifice or walls. That's this watery energy, without artifice or walls. Yes, you will be exposed and vulnerable for a time, but it will be so worth it. This is the only way you will know true closeness with others, and you will also be close to spirit and to us. So, yeah. What are you learning? What are you learning from the release? Whether you're releasing or, co-releasing. I don't know if that's a thing. Freedom is just an interesting thing. You think that it's going to come from something that we always put ourselves in the position of doing the releasing and acquiring the freedom, but sometimes freedom is just the freedom of perspective. And it's like the freedom of perspective. And in some ways, I feel like this is sort of a translation of moon energy into something more concrete. And whether that's, moving on from something or moving forward for something from something. Ooh, this energy. Spirit, what messages do you have for my daily creatives, please? September 16th. 9 of Cups. That's the energy that could become a tower if it goes unchecked. And I almost get that this is like energy of, I feel like this is like doing everything on your own. The Sun is your protagonist energy. What I love here, it's just the perspectives of the 2 of these. It's very different kinds of happiness. It's like emotional fulfillment, and you're recognizing that it starts with you first, right? You're recognizing that there's something that starts with you. And the Tower, I think, I'm gathering that the Tower has already fallen because of the 10 of Swords here and the Moon. It's not particularly Plutonic or Pluto energy, but I think that there's something to be said for that. It's like different kinds of happiness and fulfillment. This is like the happiness that you build for yourself. And then this kind of happiness is the kind of happiness that is like whole life happiness in a way. The way I look at it also is like a happiness that you see and you reach towards. And I feel like this is where it's like you're reaching, you see what it means to be happy within, and then you reach externally. But I feel like there's a release that's taken place here that could be at the heart of it. If this has to do with projects or work, you could be thinking about this in terms of like, having a particular job that you enjoyed, and, you're changing the way you're seeing it, 10 of Swords. The way you're relating to it. And I think that this has a lot to do with intimacy and just not being afraid to be seen. Not being afraid to be seen. There's some stories you might have told yourself about that, though, the Devil card here. Stories you might have told yourself about that. King of Pentacles. I almost feel like it took away from your value a little bit. Like the stories that you told yourself were like, oh, you talk yourself out of it, out of what you want. You're like, nah. I don't really, I don't know. I don't understand it. I don't know, blah, 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 blah. But deep down, and that's where the Moon energy comes in, because I feel like the Moon energy, we put something, under like that, the Moon, not because we don't know. It's almost like we know, but we need to figure out how we understand and relate to it. Yeah. Spirit, what messages do you, whoa. That's a lot. Okay, I'm going to clear these cards. My cat, she's sitting on the bed, and so, okay. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, see this? So I see the Page of Cups and the Two of Cups here. And I also see the Five of Swords. And that's where I feel like, it's really interesting. So I see the Five of Swords, the Eight of Swords, the Six of Wands, the Knight of Swords, the Judgment card, and the Ten of Wands, release and then balance. And the Star, some healing as well. But I feel like this is almost like healing what you thought intimacy would feel like, recognizing what it actually means. I feel like this is like on the Sun right now, this protagonist energy. And this isn't the antagonist energy, but it's almost like the story of you healing that, right? The Five of Swords, right? This idea of like, well, this is what intimacy means. So I have to, like, if it doesn't make sense in this context, then what does it mean, right? And intimacy also doesn't just mean romantic relationships. This can be the way that we relate to things, like work or whatever, but it's the part of us that isn't afraid to be vulnerable and to say, just to say it, like, to say what needs to be said. For fear of feeling foolish or looking ridiculous or anything like that. It's just say it. And not, making people wait or doing stupid shit like that. Especially, anyways, but, yeah, I feel like there was hesitation and uncertainty. And I feel like this Five of Swords wasn't like a win at all costs situation. I feel like this really was a matter of maybe feeling like there was only one way to do it, and one way to do intimacy and feeling. And this could be somebody that you're dealing with, but I'm just reading the energies broadly speaking, right? But I feel like this could be, you thinking that there's only one way to do things, and sort of this Six of Wands way of being successful such that people applaud, because that's what you were taught. But then I feel like there's something else that was available to you the whole time. And, like there's this movement towards, and, on the bottom of the Knight of Swords shoe is binary code for home. And it's like you're heading home, you're moving home to something felt like home to you. And the Judgment, you did kind of call judgment on the situation in terms of the decision. You decided internally this Ten of Wands too needed to be put down and put to rest. I think, I don't want to say first, but I feel like it's like you were making this decision as you were putting the Ten of Wands aside or down. There was something that you were releasing at the same time as realizing this, and it made balance really challenging. The Star energy is here, I think, in part because it's reminding me of the wheel. It's, there's something about destiny that it can make you feel like you're going to miss out on it if it doesn't, like if you're not showing up in the perfect container, in the perfect way. But I think that the lesson of the Star in this particular scenario is that whatever this intimacy relates to, be it vulnerability in relationship, vulnerability on, related to a job, and vulnerability in terms of a job is just being super excited about something. It's being super excited and not being afraid to be excitable or excited, and to wear that on your sleeve, and to give words and rise to something, right? To put it into the world, and to let that be like your guide, right? To let that be a guiding light for you. And I think this may be a rearranging of your relationship to your guiding light. I feel like that's the case here. There's no Tower, which tells me that this is a deeper lesson that's happening. It's not shocking. I don't necessarily know that it's one, it's not one that you see coming necessarily, but it's one that you feel, right? You feel it. There's something deeply transformative about this energy. But again, I'm going to put these back in the deck, but that's just this sort of aside here where it's like, do you need to, okay, Spirit's like, nope, this is where it's supposed to go, right here. And it's going to go like this. Okay. So that's the energy there that's coming out, just as an aside, right? And I feel like the Sun being clarified by the Two of Cups and the Page of Cups, it's almost like there's this way that you're understanding your happiness. And not in a way that's like, I'm going to reach for this thing and it's going to feel so good and blah, blah, blah. No, it's a much more down to earth. The Three of Pentacles, it's like a grounding principle to something. Maybe it took letting go of something, being let go of, I don't know, Ten of Swords, something came to an end. And that's sort of what sparked this. And I think it's almost like a realization of what fulfillment means in the context of yourself, but then also how you reach for that with other people, and how you offer that, how you show up in this Two of Cups with a cup full and ready to pour into another, and recognize the cup that somebody wants to pour into you, right? The Sun is like total happiness. This is also a happiness that comes from within you too. Like there's something really, there's a depth to this kind of happiness, right? It's not something that's it's fleeting. And I think that's what whatever this lesson is, because I feel like the Ten of Swords is a lesson, right? It wouldn't surprise me if there was the Wheel or the World card that came out here. But I feel like there's some kind of ending that took place or is taking place that's, I don't know, it's like I don't know. That it's interesting because I'm saying ending, but then there's like the Fool card here. So it's almost like maybe this is turning over a new leaf for you in terms of a perspective, an approach that you have, making things right in terms of the ways that you show up. The ways that you show up. Or it could also just mean that this is generally speaking, this could be a new beginning. This is great energy, right? Like this is something being made right. Spirit, can you tell me about this protagonist energy for September 16th, please? Nine of Wands, or the antagonist, sorry. Yeah, this is where it's like the antagonist is like been there, done that, right? And not in the sense of I'm sick and tired of what I'm seeing. This is like a way that you're dealing with things. Like the 9 suggests the end of a cycle. The 10 indicates the full ending of the cycle. The 9 says that there's cycling out. So it's like the antagonist here is this energy of you have the choice as to whether or not you're going to be in this pre-emperor position, right? This pre-emperor position just meaning like the emperor understands their relationship to power and control. The 9 of Wands is willing to let it go. Like the 9 of Wands is an invitation to let it go. The emperor energy realizes and recognizes that they cannot have control. In certain instances, true. Others, not so much. But this emperor, the story of the friggin' emperor, good Lord, it's ridiculous. Ridiculous in a good way, right? Like I feel like we all have an emperor in us. Those of us with Aries in our charts that are a touch louder than others. And that's where I feel like this, and I'm seeing the 9 again. It's like, this is like the way that it's almost like you're holding back on some passion, and then it's like you're holding back on a lot more, but there's transformation here. This is Scorpio energy as well. It could be something to do with Scorpio season, but I feel like this is a transformation, right? Rebirth. This could be and this is a retrograde season, right? So we're seeing the rebirth of things, the re's, right? Recycle, rebirth, restart, regenerate, rejuvenate. Yeah. And then so we have the 4 of Pentacles as the main challenge, is holding back, which, I mean, given all of this energy, it's not surprising. I see the 4 of Pentacles less as prescriptive of something that's going to happen. And I think this is more of you understanding what parts of you are safe to play with others, if that makes sense. The parts of you that are safe to play with others. I'm not seeing a lot of like wand energy here in terms of passion, but I almost feel like there's this, it's like feeling fearful. Why is there fear? Like I feel like there's like this essence of, did this get all messed up? Yes, it did. That's fine. Spirit, can you tell me a little bit more about why passion is absent here? 9 of Pentacles. You were working on yourself. Empress energy. There we go. Okay, so I feel like this is where it's like the passion is there. It's almost like you needed to cultivate more strength within yourself so that you could carry something to term with another person. This could be a literal child, but I feel like there is passion, but I feel like it's different. It feels different. I was listening to there was a book by Louise Hay and David Kessler, and I'd started it like a couple of weeks back, I think. And I just kind of returned back to it to listen to the last chapter as I was driving home from work today. And one of the things that it talks about is just the way that we show up differently in relationships when we process grief and when we really do, right? It's like you have the Wands energy, that Knight of Wands energy, but then you there's like the King and Queen of Wands energy that isn't like this burn that's going to burn things up, but something that is stokeable over time, that you can build it, but you first have to grieve what you lost to understand and to see that. Sometimes you may feel like it happens too late, like you realize things too late and you're like, fuck, right? But sometimes that's, I don't know, what's meant for you won't pass you by. But I think it's important that you get to a place where you understand this 9 of Pentacles is a fundamental truth of your being. And if you don't show up to a relationship in a 9 of Pentacles, it's going to be real hard to build from a 9 of Cups place into the sun and show up with a full cup in this 2 in the page, right? These are offerings. And they're offerings of your best self, not your half self, not your defensive self, not your, controlled self. And I feel like this Four of Pentacles is almost like the last, like you're letting go of it's like, I see it as almost, I mean, it did show up in the reverse if you remember. So the way I'm seeing it right now is just this releasing energy, a release of holding back. Yeah, there's where's the wand? Well, it's in the overcoming. So that's good. That's great. That's great energy. Four of Pentacles, Ace of Wands, Queen of Wands. Yeah, this is like the spark that doesn't just light a flame, but it's a spark that's lit from something within you, right? The story that I was listening to David Kessler talk about was this woman was dating a guy and she really liked him. And, she'd thought about where she was at a different point in her life when she was, with him, and had a moment where they had embraced and she felt this well of love inside of her. And, she at one point would have attributed it to something that was so much bigger and like, oh, he's the one, this, and like looking at him as being this like huge energy instead of understanding that came from within herself. And then, and seeing how that for her ended a cycle, right? And that's, it's relating here because of the nines that I've seen. But also just, like it's more of a healthy way of relating, right? It doesn't require the drama of like, and certainly there's, there are so many different things that are just absolutely ridiculous that have happened lately. But like ridiculous good. But nonetheless, so like, I'm not saying to rule out impossible things and to choose the things that make you feel the safest. No, it's not about that at all. In fact, I've chosen things that, certainly safety is it plays a role in things, but choose the things that scare the shit out of you is what I'm saying. More often than not, and in good ways that challenge you to elevate yourself. And that pull you from the sidelines into the game because you're willing to play. And, it's not something where it's like other people are doing the work for you. It's, where someone, I think about it in terms of, I used to play basketball when I was in grade 6. I still have the jersey for that team. But I think about the times where we would be in practice and, I'd be getting, water or whatever. And I was one of the point guards, I think. Oh my gosh, it's been so long. But, anyway, I, would often pull people and they would, teammates, we would do this for each other where we'd be on the sidelines just watching and taking in the practice and watching what's happening. And then the person would pass the ball to you and that would pull you into the game. And it's almost like that's what I think a healthy relationship looks like is, you pass each other the ball to come into the game. And, it's not something that's aggressive or anything like that because you're showing up to the game in the premise of playing it with that team. And that's, I think, what a healthy relationship looks like is a teammate. Not someone who's going to do the work for you, but someone who's going to sit there and say, actually, this is how you are agreeing to show up. Are you sticking to that kind of thing, right? But I feel like there's this passion that is, I don't want to say returning, but I'm really relieved to see the passion here because there's a lot of process. The Empress is not devoid of passion either. The majors I'm seeing are actually quite, they lend themselves well to passion in the order that they're coming out. But there's something about this overcoming this feeling like you have 4 pentacles, but you actually have like 10. So it's almost like this illusion that's maybe where the moon energy is coming from. You have this illusion, this thing in your head where you're like, I only have so much to give, but you actually have so much more. And I think that there's something that is sparking passion for you that you're realizing does that. What that means for you, I don't know. I think you're showing up as a Queen of Wands more than not. And I think the Ace of Wands is either an idea, it's something creative, there's something that just spoke to you. Or is speaking to you or will, that's going to pass you the ball and pull you into the game. Not because you're not already playing the game. I hesitate to think of things in terms of games because it just, anyways, but I feel like it's like being passed the ball, right? And I feel like this is like life is passing you the ball and inviting you into the court. The Queen of Wands is telling me that you're showing up and you're ready to play. Right? You're showing up and you're showing up 2424. You're showing up as the best part of yourself, that creative, passionate, open part of yourself that's ready to embrace fire, that's ready to embrace that. Right? There's this residual nervous, like this fear though, and it's not fear. It's not fear. I'm gonna clarify this. I know the rest of the spread isn't done, but I dance to the beat of my own drummer. Spirit, can you clarify the fears that I'm feeling here? Page of Wands. So Page of Wands, Page of Cups, 10 of Wands. I feel like this is, Knight of Wands, Page of Cups, 10 of Wands. Yeah. It's almost like when the weight, like there's something about weight lifting, not like, oh, I'm going to pump iron. No, it's like there's a weight that's being lifted. There's a weight that's being lifted, and it's bringing in something really lighthearted, but that you can put your fire behind and move with. And within, there's like a freedom to it. This is like a passion that frees you, not something that binds you. And I feel like maybe that's this 10 of Wands was the nervousness or fear that was going to happen. I shit you not, the Lovers is on the bottom. 10 of Pentacles. There it is. See, I knew I could feel that. Like, it's like you have the 4, but it's like you have 10 and you're like, I only have 4. But it's like your pentacles there's like interest that's been earned on them. And it's like, so there's a way that you can be intimate with people now because you're choosing from a 10 of Pentacles place as opposed to choosing from a 4 of Pentacles place. Spirit, what messages do you have to continue in this spread? 6 of Cups. That's soulmate, soul bond energy. I feel like you're being awakened to see. I feel like this is reflections of the past. So several thoughts are going through my head. I feel like this is reflecting on the past on the one hand, right? You're awakened to seeing the ways that you may have related to cups in the past and offered them and given them, how it might relate to things to do with when, different patterns that you've inherited or that you adopted over time. But I also feel like this could be you're awakened to a soul connection. You're awakened to a soul connection. And the intimacy, the intimacy, well, into me see, but it's like the ability to let people see inside is what's shifting. And it's not like a little bit. It's not like it's not like that. Like I feel like there's something much more profound. There's something much more profound happening. Are you fucking kidding me? I can't make this shit up. I wouldn't want to either. I love it when Spirit works like this through the cards because it's a really humbling experience. And the Page of Wands was at the bottom. Just a little offering. Yeah. And so interesting. I said the wheel, 2727 was just on the time. I said the wheel or the world card. And what I'm seeing here is just this beautiful, okay, I need to stop. Like, I see all this storyline. Okay, so I'm going to relay it to you as the energy's coming through. It's like this little offering, but I feel like there's something so much more behind it. And I think that first there was a lot that you had to work through and get through and move past in order to, like this, I almost see this as like beliefs that you had that were competing inside of you for, this 6 of Cups attention, where it's like there was either a soul connection or a part of you that needed your attention and focus, and it was like you wanted to give it, but there was some way that your energy was binding and fighting yourself. And then the wheel, it's like this is something that does feel kind of fated and destined, because we did have the Judgment card here, which is past life related. 6 of Cups is past life related, so there's a lot of energy of that nature. And I feel like there's something that you had to admit to yourself, maybe about your own bullshit, maybe about other, like or the way that other people's harm has affected you, I should say. I don't want to say it pejoratively. I say it, that's how I think about myself, like my own nonsense, right? But for some people, it takes a lot to hold this Ace of Swords. But then I feel like that's where the new beginning comes in. And, I feel like the 9 of Swords is here as a sort of reminder because it came out earlier. It's not about being worried. I feel like this is almost like there's ways that you can go about this. And this is here just saying, like, you choose. The Lover's card is here twice because the choice is here. So you choose 9 of Swords or the Fool card, the Ace of Swords, the Wheel. Which one are you choosing, right? And I feel like I know which one you're choosing based on the cards that I'm seeing here. Because I feel like you're choosing forward, you're choosing movement, you're choosing intimacy, you're choosing love. All of that is true. And it shouldn't come from a place of an ending is happening, so I have to act. That's not it either, because that's not fair to people. But I feel like there's something where it's like you realized something. And I feel like the Lovers is like the choice to pay attention to it. It's like the choice to pay attention to it. So let me just read this part here, and then I'll read this after an affirmation. But yeah, okay. There's amazing freedom that comes when you let go and just be yourself with another or a group. Excuse me. Release your. I need water. Oh my goodness. Hold on 1 second. Oh, it is ragweed season, friends. Good Lord. Okay. But so I just feel like this reading is so good. It's very fundamental. It's almost like when the emperor's like, "Oh, I fucked up." Or there and not even in a way that's like berating oneself, but in a way that's like, look at all of the abundance around me. What have I been focusing on? And why? Like, that's kind of what I feel like. The moon and the 10 of swords, it's like, and the 9 of swords twice, right? It came out twice. Then you see the 5 of swords, the 8 of swords, they're all here too. And then the 6 of swords. So it's like, what have I been focusing on? And then the 10 of wands is this like letting go of it. And it's like the 10 of swords is this really, it's a deep release, and it feels like freedom. And the beautiful part is that the way that I see the wheel working here is it's a freedom that comes from knowing that, back to that story, David Kessler and Louise Hay, that person with those 9s, she realized that when he held her and they took photos with their friends, and the way that she felt when he pulled her in close, she said that it basically made her feel like incredible. But she realized that didn't come from him. And I think that this 10 of swords, it's like there needed to be a release so that you could understand that that's not gonna, like, it's not that, it's like, there's an intellectual thing here where it's like this intellectualization, but then the feelings show up and you're like, whoa, because you realize that the thing that you wanted outside of you the whole time, you're like looking outside of you and trying to make a choice, but you didn't choose yourself first. You didn't choose you. So how the hell can you make a good decision externally if you're not choosing you first, right? And that's not to be like, rah, 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 but to also gently say, like, we always have to make that choice first. And for those of us who come from homes or who have experienced like legit narcissism, not saying like I don't like them, therefore they're like actual like malignant narcissism that really does a number. You can tend to push away thinking of yourself first because you assume that it says something about you that you're like that energy, because that energy is still in you and needs to be cleared, right? That energy is still in you somewhere. If you believe that to prioritize yourself in a healthy way, in a 9 of cups way, to prioritize yourself in a 9 of cups, in a 9 of pentacles way, is anything like that is the furthest thing from the truth. But it means that that's something that still needs healing, right? So I feel like the healing is taking place, but this is also prioritizing yourself at work. Where are your boundaries? What are you not going to tolerate? What are you going to say no thank you to? What are you going to say yes I choose this to? How are you going to reflect on ways that you show up and say I don't really like how I was like that? When someone gives you a reminder, like I have, some really amazing coworkers, and, some of them will say, well, I don't know, is that the way you want to see it? And it's like, having that challenge, not in a way that's like coming up fighting. It's like saying, is that really how you want to see it? And you're like, no, you know what? I'm really grateful that you said that. I'm glad that you called me in on that 3333 on the time. I'm glad that, and that's abundance too, right? So keep that in mind. But it's this way of saying, how do you want to show up, and what are your boundaries, and are you living them? Are you doing justice to yourself and your highest vision through the healing process, but also through what you then welcome in, right? It's kind of an epiphany that I'm going through myself. So, we're all in this together, right? but this, I feel like this energy, the main lesson is the Lover's card. And, it speaks directly to this intimacy card here. And I think that no matter what happens here, from here, there's choices that you're going to make that honor intimacy, that honor relationship. It's not about, I almost feel like this 6 of wands here. It's like you felt like there was a way that it should be done, but it just really messed with the way that the way it should be done, or the way that, you're used to it. And I think it really messed with your head a little bit. and fear crept in, you can't miss what's meant for you, though. So if this is a relationship, sometimes you have to just hold tightly to the idea that what you really want isn't going to pass you by. When you attach it to people, places, situations, jobs, all of that, that's where it gets really messy and where we forget who we are. We forget who we are because we forget what it is that that is our fundamental truth, right? And that's how attachment disconnects us. But you're showing up with this 10 of Pentacles, so your investments into yourself. I think about this in terms of different, bouncing back from and recovering from really toxic relationships. You might think you have a 4 of Pentacles, but this is like the change that you take out from the bank when this is what is in your emotional bank account, right? So it's like, don't get the two confused. This might be what you go and invest in, like a first date. This is what you invest in a relationship. So you have the capacity for both. So don't feel like you have to only invest one or the other. Like there's no either or here. There's both and this beautiful, bold spectrum of abundance that's surrounding you right now. And whether you're just becoming aware of that or not, there's choices that you can make from your 10 of Pentacles. So don't hesitate to do that. It's kind of scary. You might feel like you look foolish. That's not necessarily the interpretation of the card, the Fool card, but you might feel and look foolish. But at least you can say that you lived. At least you can say that you did. Like, at least, so there's a book that I'm starting to read right now. It was like 2 weeks ago. It literally fell off the shelf at work, which happens a lot, actually. Spirit speaks to me like that a lot. But it's, and I think to myself, in the realm of looking foolish, 3636 was just on time. First and foremost, number one, I've seen this in a meme before, but I'll give it to you now and I'll say it again. Someone invented the fucking pool noodle and was confident about that invention. Can you imagine the world before the pool noodle? Like, right? So just consider that. Also, if you're thinking about, how things might look or feel foolish, like there's someone, this book, All Signs, it's, sorry about the shine on my light. You can see it's an IKEA lamp, but All Signs Point to Paris this book fell off the shelf about 2 weeks ago. And the author, basically, it's all about astrology. And so it is essentially like looking at going to find the person who is, anyways, I highly recommend it. But all of this to say, her journey, she went all the way to Paris and was like looking for what's supposed to be the love of her life and like who she becomes along the way and all of those things. So, and like, if you were to watch someone living that, you'd be like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. If you're anchored in ego, if you're anchored in a 5 of Swords, right? If you're in that place, but it's like, it reflects this abundance that the universe has to give us at all times, right? Up on my vision board, I have I had these cards, so I made a copy of this one, and then I put it up on my vision board, and it's anyways, but that's a whole other thing. But that's and really the idea is that love should liberate. That love liberates. It's a Maya Angelou quote, or part of one, from this video that she did, which doesn't really talk about it in this context, but I feel like that idea, love liberates. That's what it does. It passes you the ball. It doesn't, it doesn't inflate the ball for you, that you come to the, and it doesn't, tell you should really come to the game. It's going to be great. You should practice with us. It passes you the ball because you're already there, right? And it liberates you. It liberates you because you show up to the game first having liberated yourself. So, yeah, I'm just going to pull 3, maybe 4 cards just to close this out. 2 of Wands. Yeah, I feel like it's like it's almost like planning for the future that you want instead of just hoping that the future arrives in a specific way. And that's the big difference. Ace of Wands again. Yeah. There's new opportunities. And this could be like new opportunities to make things right. We are in a retrograde. This could also be new opportunities just to start over, to start again, to start with someone new. all of this. Like, I feel like it doesn't matter what happens because you know you now showing up. Yeah, there's like, you know your truth. 10 of Cups. You see, this is where it's like you don't have to protect your truth anymore because you can just share it, right? It's almost like transmuting the 7 of Swords into the 10 of Cups because you can just share it. And you're like, yeah, you know what? That's my truth. That's my truth. And it is what it is. It's how I feel. And it's liberating just to acknowledge that to yourself and others, isn't it? Just to say, um, this is like truth telling, right? Like it's an exercise in truth telling, right? Where you, the emperor, growing as an emperor, is just saying like, yeah, you know what? This is how it feels. This is how it felt. This is, and not really being afraid of that, I don't know. Spirit, what message do you have for my daily creatives to close out this reading? I live in an abundant universe. Yes, my darling, you do. This whole spread is evidence of that. This whole spread is evidence of that. I live in an abundant universe. Notice how abundance flows into your life in surprising and delightful ways. Yeah. And that's part of this too, is where when you attach to a specific outcome, it's so hard for it to find you because you're attached to the outcome. You're not in the flow of abundance, as Abraham Hicks says. You're not in that flow of abundance that just allows it to be. It means you're trying to control the flow when you drown, right? Like you'll drown faster than you'll float because you're not floating. You're trying to do the work of being the boat when you can only do the work of being yourself, understanding that you are, to quote Rumi, not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean, knowing itself as the ocean. And that is so true of love too, right? So let me read this here. You are love. I didn't even, okay, that's perfect. Dearest you, do you ever wonder whether your ideas and inspiration might be coming through your soul rather than generated from your mind alone? 4141, just on the time. We are here to tell you we are always whispering in your ear about your highest good. We are conduits for spirit, letting you know you are a living channel for this awesome co-creative energy. When you're feeling inspired, it means you heard us. Inspiration means spirit is breathing through you. Inspiration needs your human passion to keep it going so you can make a difference in the world. So keep moving on what inspires you. Let yourself be led into new experiences and know that this is why you are on the earth. Your purpose is to discover your spirited nature and to bring forth through your efforts whatever is meant to be. Wondrous miracles have a way of showing up when you let inspiration propel you forward. You are so loved. Yeah. Well, my darlings, this is one hell of a reading to end a Friday. So I can't wait for what tomorrow's creative unconscious reading is going to bring about. But wow, this is incredible. When's the last time that you dipped your toe into the river that flows through your life, that's so truly abundant? Even if you don't feel like diving right in because you're like, it's going to be too cold, you just dip a toe in then. Dip a toe in then, at least. Yeah. You live in an abundant universe. Do not forget it, my friends. On that note, this is your daily creative reading. So if this resonated, please give it a like and subscribe. I'd love to have you on the channel if you're not already. If you are, thank you for joining me here from my subscriber base. I really appreciate this and you. So thank you for that. And as always, wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very, very well, my friends. Take care.